STL training next on City Corner. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson and welcome to City Corner. Today we're going to talk about entry-level healthcare industry training and specifically with STL training and applied technology services. I'm joined by Angela Baker. She is the business development manager with STL training and applied technology services. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So we're going to get into a lot of great outcomes and success stories about these programs and graduates of these programs, but we're going to start at the very beginning and sort of set the stage for this and really put into place how you're connected first to the special school district of St. Louis County.
Correct.
And some of the partnerships that you have that even allowed STL training to start in the first place. So do you mind kind of setting that stage for us and kind of doing that diagram for us about the programs and about how they got into place?
Sure. We are employed with Special School District. Special School District has a career and technical education division. Within that division are the adult education department as well as the customized training department. Our adult ed department is marketed under the name Applied Technology Services, and our customized training department is marketed under STL training.
Got it. So we've got STL training and Applied Technology Services. So what does Applied Technology Services do exactly?
Okay, Applied Technology Services offers a one-year practical nursing program. We've been doing this for the last 25 years. We run 4 classes of 30 students per year at 2 different locations. We have the Met Center location, which is located in Wellston. We have the South Tech location, which is located in Sunset Hills. We run the 120 students per year, starting 4 times a year.
When we talk about, you kind of every day when you look at jobs and sort of reports coming out, there's always this sort of report or something saying that there's more entries and openings in healthcare industry. It's a growing demand. There's a growing need for it. Is that part of the idea of how when these, 25 years ago with these programs getting in place was to really help that element of the workforce?
Oh, absolutely. There's been an increased demand in LPNs, and also the Missouri Hospital Association as well as Slate, where we've started to partner with, they came out with a study basically stating that there's such a high increase or a demand for entry-level healthcare workers. The state of Missouri, especially in St. Louis, is actually not meeting that demand. So we were approached by Slate to assist them with grant training. They actually obtained a grant that would help individuals and schools educate individuals for entry-level positions in the healthcare industry. We started STL training. STL training, we currently do CNA, which is Certified Nurse Assistant. We do CMT training, which is Certified Medication Technician, and Insulin Administration training to help meet that demand in the St. Louis area.
Okay, I'm going to jump back really quickly to Applied Technology Services and who is eligible for this. So for example, people watching today and they say, this is something I'm interested in. It's obviously a career that you can continue to grow in.
Oh, absolutely.
Who is eligible to enroll in these programs?
Okay, now for the LPN program, it is title funded, so it's anyone the age of, I'd say 18, they have to have their high school diploma or GED. Anywhere 18 to 55 is pretty much a variety of ages within that specific program. The CNA and CMT, there are a series of application requirements. Like for the CNA program, they have to have their high school diploma or GED. They have to go through a series of background checks, drug screening, so there's different requirements for each program.
Okay, and when you talk about the completion rate, at least for the LPN program, what's that? That's around, it's pretty high.
Oh, it's extremely higher. Applied Tech, right now for the LPN program, we're nearing almost 80% completion, which is amazing.
Wow.
Our CNA cohorts that we've done so far, we're averaging, 95% in our CNA program. Our Certified Medication Technician program, now completion rate is 93%.
Wow, that's outstanding. That's really great. Well, speaking of the CNA program, so I want to kind of break down the lingo because I know this isn't every day that. So CNA is Certified Nurse Assistant, correct?
Correct.
And CMT is a Certified
Medication Technician.
Okay, so can you kind of get into the details of
absolutely.
what that is?
A CNA will be employed anywhere from long-term care facilities as well as hospitals. They can work as a PCT. Can be hired as a CNA and actually work as a PCT in a hospital setting. Now, CMT will probably work exclusively in long-term care in skilled nursing facilities administering medication.
Okay. And then you mentioned briefly for the other program what the admission requirements are. You said for this you have to have a degree.
You have to have your high school diploma.
High school diploma. And then where do people typically, do they stay in this field or do they continue to grow in it?
I think especially with this grant and this partnership with Slate, it's allowing individuals to establish a career pathway in the healthcare industry. So they can start as a CNA, move up to a CMT, and then possibly an LPN. Or what they can do is start as a CNA and go directly to LPN or RN. It's introducing individuals and providing an opportunity for them to enter the healthcare workforce.
I see. Well, you mentioned Slate and kind of what this sort of fits in for a bigger picture for us on this show. Throughout the year, we've been covering a lot of the partnerships and efforts that Slate has, and obviously this is one of them. And if you could talk more about that, you briefly mentioned it, but how Slate played a role in this coming together, in the program coming together.
Slate obtained the grant.
Okay.
So after obtaining the grant, establishing all partnerships in the community, they've reached out to all the organizations, they reached out to schools. They did a fantastic job with it, getting everybody to the table so we can go ahead and address the specific needs, for the healthcare industry. The schools are at the table, the employers were at the table. With our specific programs for CNA and CMT and even LPN, we're actually providing wraparound services in partnership with Slate. So our goal is to make sure that the individual is successful in the program. And if there are any barriers to program completion or resources needed, that we're trying to meet them as a school, or we've partnered with Slate and other organizations so they could provide those necessary resources.
Well, you mentioned wraparound services and something that kind of is a great lead-in for the next question, which I thought was really interesting, was when the program was first launched, you sought feedback to see what were some of the challenges and barriers. What did you find out from that?
On the first CNA cohort, we found out individuals had difficulty with transportation. They had some difficulties with childcare. But one issue that came up was the ability to provide themselves food or lunch on a daily basis. So with that, we set a more proactive approach, and we established weekly lunches with the new CNA cohort now, and to establish what resources and needs that they have, so we can proactively meet those needs. So when that second cohort started, it was actually one of the long-term care facilities that we're working in right now. We had heard through our instructor that there were some difficulties, so I immediately called the facility, and we worked out that every CNA would get lunch on every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday when they did the training.
Because I feel you hear so much where people don't, we talk about it like, oh, we'll just go back to school or go pursue this, but I mean, there's the reality of life, you have to have money to pay for lunch and transportation.
Exactly.
And you also sometimes have to have a secondary job. In fact, I think some students were also employed afterwards. Is that correct? I mean, employed meaning later in the day from that training.
Oh, absolutely.
Go on to another job. I mean, they'd have to provide for themselves, obviously.
Right. No matter what program they're in, if they're in our CNA or CMT program, or if they're in our one-year LPN program, we assist them with jobs during the program and, of course, placement after the program. But there are challenges. I mean, there are personal needs that they have when they get home. And they're, a lot of the times that they cannot work as much as they did before. So yes, financial difficulties do occur while in the programs.
Let's talk about some of the outcomes. I mean, these days so many things are driven by, you need the data and the success stories and the outcome, so people know that something is working. Talk about some of the outcomes for both programs.
I think that because of Slate and because of this grant, we've had outcomes that we probably would not have had before. One success story that I want to speak of is a gentleman, I think it was 2016, fall of 2016, he was supposed to start a CNA program with his sister. The day before he started the program, his sister suffered a tragic death. And he went through some family difficulties. He went back to Slate and worked with his case manager. Her name is Amy Pollard. And she was very passionate about getting him back into the program. So when we started the program, she wanted him to come to our program. So on the first day, he was quiet, kind of reserved, but you can tell as time went on, he developed the confidence. We would visit every week to see how they were doing in clinical. You could see his compassion for people and the residents. And he became a key player definitely within that class.
That's wonderful. And I'm sure you have other success stories. Is there something that's personally sort of spoken to you as you're sort of looking from a management level, looking down? I know you've got a lot
all
to
of
focus
them,
on.
But all the students, they're all success stories. I hate to just pick out one or two. But coming from a special school district, I had a student that just graduated actually from our CNA program last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago, I believe. And she had some learning difficulties. She disclosed in the first day of class that she had been through the program 2 times unsuccessfully with other schools. And on the first day I said, no, you're going to complete our program, understand that. We'll do whatever it takes to help you. So the teacher worked with her with some learning strategies on what she can do to overcome some of her difficulties, and she ended up being one of the valedictorians of the class.
Wow, that's fantastic. What do you think is the sort of formula of why you have such strong outcomes and the percentage and the completion rate is so high? I mean, because it feels like there's a lot of different programs out there, but not all of them have great success. And so what do you look at it? Do you think it is that wraparound approach that you were talking about earlier? Do you think it's the instruction, the partners, or
it's everything?
It's everything.
It is everything. I think in education, what we started seeing within the last 10, 15 years is that there are these personal needs that come to school. And in order for you to have your, completion rates, because we have to report this information to the federal government. We have to have completion and placement. But if you have to have a passion for what you do, you really do. You have to have a passion that you want to see individuals successful. And I think that's what drives everything. That drives you to hire the best teachers, to put the right teachers with the right students. And I think in partnering with the community and have their buy-in on it,
And for potential students who might be listening to this, I mean, what would be your encouragement about getting into the healthcare industry?
I would say the first thing, and all my students will probably say this, is that come into the healthcare industry for the right reasons. Do not come in for a job. You have to have a passion for helping people in order to be successful.
Okay, no, that's good advice. Well, we've got the information there for you on the screen, and both the websites that we have up correlate to the different programs. The CNA and CMT programs, you can go to stltraining.org or call the number on your screen, 314-989-7486. For the LPN program, you can go to appliedtech-stl.com or call 314-989-7570. We have to take a short break, but stay with us because we're actually going to hear from one of the graduates of the program. So please stay with us right here on City Corner.
Welcome, innovators, dreamers, pioneers of the 21st century. We've been expecting you to come discover your dreams and make your ideas take flight. Just like so many explorers that came before you. Welcome to the hub of opportunity. Welcome to St. Louis. Always exploring.
I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. Today we've been talking about entry-level healthcare industry training, and I've been speaking in the first segment with Angela Baker with STL training and applied technology services, and now I'm joined by a graduate from your program, which is really wonderful. And I'm going to have to say valedictorian graduate to introduce yourself, Rebekah Perry. But why don't you give me your brief introduction of Rebekah, Angela?
Okay, my brief introduction of Miss Rebekah was she was in our first cohort of CNA training. She actually played a vital member of bringing that class together. And as you mentioned, she was a valedictorian of our class. So I'd like for her to speak to that.
Yeah, so why don't you start off and just tell us about yourself and how you got into the program and what interested you about it.
I am a mother. I enjoy going to church. I enjoy exercising. I am avid runner. I love to run and love to exercise. But how I got into the program, I wouldn't say it was a fluke per se, but I actually went to take my LPN exam and I did not pass. So the gentleman, and I really am indebted to him, because without having a spirit of defeat, he actually gave me a piece of paper saying, hey, you want to be a CNA? And then I'm like, sure, you know, and then on the paper, it actually gave me the information for STL training and who all the contact people were, Angela Baker. So it kind of just flowed from there.
That's fantastic. Did you always know you wanted to work in healthcare, in the healthcare industry?
Well, I have done it for a long time in the previous. I have worked at previous hospitals before, so it's kind of been embedded in my DNA for like a long time. So now it just gave me the opportunity to like really solidify me having like a title behind my name.
Angela was talking in the first segment about sort of having a passion and an interest if you really want to go into the healthcare industry, because it's obviously, it's not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of work. What was it? What do you think sort of fits your sort of personality and sort of your passion about it?
My passion about it, I would like to say it stemmed from my mother, watching her be in various organizations as far as like the Elks and the Masons, and going to various nursing homes and washing wheelchairs and delivering fruit and things of that nature. So I've always, and even I remember one Thanksgiving when I was younger, even going down to Larry Rice and volunteering on a Thanksgiving. So I kind of grew up with the spirit and the mentality of serving and helping others.
That's fantastic. We were talking too about sort of the role that Slate has sort of played in this. How did Slate play a role in terms of you finishing and working on the program?
Oh, absolutely. Financially wise, it was a blessing to me, because me being a single mother of 4 children, just knowing like that barrier can actually prevent me from excelling and succeeding in something that I'm so passionate about. So just having that funding that allowed me to just be in the class and to take the class. And not only was it just the funding, it was things like as far as the book bags, the free uniforms, the free stethoscopes, things that bring everything together as far as like you succeeding in the program.
There's so many, I mean, it's so many challenges just in the first place from an academic standpoint, sometimes going to school or doing training, right? But as you talk about, there's the whole other half of it, which is the personal side of it. You have children to take care of. It's like money to feed yourself, to pay for housing. Talk about some of, I mean, you sort of alluded to some of them, but what were some of the real challenges that you faced? Because I think there's other people watching this who are going to see this who might be interested in say, but I don't have a car, I don't have this. So what are some of the challenges that you
Well,
faced?
additionally, I did not have a car. So I did rely on public transportation. And through this program, they offered me bus tickets that allowed me to get to school, and not only to school, like home as well. And another barrier that I faced basically was spending time with my family. I did have to work. The program hours were on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I committed to, actually I had already had a job, but to break it down, I had to work every weekend for like the last 2 months just to be able to provide for my family and participate and be in this program. So I sacrificed a lot of time from being with my family, and I also had to have some support from my family to help me with that time and to watch my children.
Yeah, what kind of kept you going, do you think, that time, just
My
knowing
faith.
the outcome,
I mean,
knowing that?
You have to have a spirit and a faith of like never giving up, and this is what I want. And you have to really be relentless about it. And no barriers whatsoever should be blocking you from obtaining and succeeding to whatever level that you want to have.
Well, you graduated as valedictorian, so you obviously did well, but we'll talk about some of the things that you really liked about the program, like the real enjoyment from it.
I would say my real enjoyment was my instructor. My instructor, she was the epitome of just class, grace, patience, humble, intelligence, understanding, and you know, I can just go on and on with my verbiage that can just attribute to how she is and how she really just made not just me, but all 10 of us feel like we were not only individualized and that she wanted us to succeed. So my instructor was the person who kept us going and kept me going, actually.
And teaching really does make a difference. I mean, I think in so many people's lives, when you look at success stories, people will say there was that one teacher or multiple who not just taught the instruction, but cared as well. And I think that's kind of what you're alluding to. And did you feel that way throughout the program?
Absolutely, I did. It was many times to where I was crying. I mean, it was times to where I would not do good on like a certain test. I'm so hard on myself. So I mean, like a B to me, you know, I'm thinking that's an F, you know, but it was times to where she would just pull me to the side and be like, it's okay. I felt connected with her enough to tell her personal things about me and for her to just encourage me and uplift me and to let me know that it's okay and to keep on going. She was almost like a second mother to me. I can honestly say that.
That's wonderful. We'll talk about what are you doing now? So you're a CNA.
I am working at Friendship Village of Chesterfield now. I am a CNA. I was blessed. I just walked right in and virtually got a job like on the spot. You know, I just feel so blessed about that. And I really enjoy, I work evening shift. And it's so conducive to my family life. It's so conducive to what I want to do as far as like outside of the job.
Do you have those moments where now when you're working that it sort of clicks back to what you learned? Have you had those aha moments of what you learned during the program and what you're experiencing now that you're doing this, you know, daily?
Yes, because I found myself saying, oh, okay, I learned that in class, or something could go on and it's like I can remember how Miss Sandy taught me and how what she taught me can connect to what I'm facing right then.
What words of encouragement would you have for others who are either currently in the program and are about to, you know, finish off, or those who might be thinking about it?
Words of encouragement would be to stay strong, to have your mind made up as far as like, this is what I want to do to succeed, not only for yourself, but for your family, and never give up. And also to have your prayer game together.
And for the future, what do you, I mean, obviously things are tight. Sounds right now you've got it down. But what do you have in mind for the future?
Well, in 6 months, I will be in a CMT class.
That's fantastic.
My goal is to be in that CMT class.
And so when you think like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you just want to keep going?
Absolutely, I will keep going. I am very passionate about helping people and being in this field, and I'm here to stay.
That's fantastic. I mean, so this is, I mean, obviously Rebekah's got this great story, which is, and we're so glad that you could join us to talk about it. Is this pretty typical of a lot of the graduates, how they speak about the program?
It is typical. I think it's through the admissions process, making sure that individuals, you know, want to be in the healthcare industry, because you can hear the passion in her voice and the way she speaks, that she loves this industry, and that's, you know, that's the individuals that we want to graduate from our programs.
Well, I was asking Rebekah about, you know, sort of the future. What do you see for the program, the future of the program?
We are currently doing the CNA and CMT, and also insulin administration. And Miss Rebekah will come back to me in 6 months and do the CMT. And then it would be nice to expand on our healthcare programs. That's, you know, we're looking to possibly do additional programs.
Do you feel, you were mentioning in the first half of the show that St. Louis just can't meet the demand really? So I mean, are you just seeing numbers, the demand increase, or are you also seeing that matched with enrollment as well?
I think we're still struggling with enrollment, getting individuals in the healthcare industry. I mean, there are so many things affecting the healthcare industry, you know, the aging population, and trying to meet that demand and getting people into the industry. A lot of them are retiring, they're aging out, increase in demand, so it's become more difficult to meet that need.
Yeah, let's talk about some of that, because I know that you had shared with me, which I thought were some really fascinating statistics from the Department of Labor. But I mean, when we're looking at some of the contributing factors, there's the demand for medical services will continue to grow. There's fewer people entering the workforce,
Correct.
Retirement of more people in the labor force. So I mean, do you feel that it eventually will be met, or what do you need more programs like this, or how will that demand be met?
I think the demand is the outreach to the community. So individuals that are interested in the healthcare industry, you know, partnering with all the different organizations and getting everybody together and getting those individuals into this grant. I mean, this grant is really helping them succeed, because sometimes it's a barrier. I mean, if it's not paid for through a grant, they have to pay out of pocket, and if they're not in the position to do that, they would not be able to enter the industry.
Yeah, and that was really key. I picked up on something you said earlier, which I thought was really interesting, is that you do site visits, and I don't know, Rebekah, if you want to speak to that too. But I mean, is that built into the program? Is that something that you do as weekly as part of the program, and what's the sort of, obviously the reasoning behind it is to check in on the students, but it clearly has part to do with the success of the outcome of the program.
One thing that I failed to mention is that we do soft skills training with the CNAs and CMTs. So they would see, I actually do the training with them. So they would see me a few times, but then we also had on-site visits. But what came from Rebekah's class was the wraparound service need. So starting with our second cohort, we started the lunch and learns once a week. So we come at least once a week as a school, but also Slate attends to provide those wraparound services.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good. Were you going to add something when I mentioned about the site
Yes, I was.
visits?
Your pop-up visit kept us on our toes, too.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Elaborate, in what way?
What is, as far as like making sure that you're staying awake in class and that you're on point and that you're listening, you know. So it really kept us alert. I mean, because it's so often, you know, like a lot of our classmates work nights, and to be in a setting to where you're just in a classroom, it's so easy to want to just nod off. But then she would just pop up, and you know, you have to wake up and be in attention mode. So yes, it kept us on our toes.
I had asked Angela what she thought sort of was part of the formula of why the programs were so successful, and I want to ask you the same clearly as a graduate. Like, what do you think made the program so special to you and successful in the outcome for you specifically and others in your cohort?
It made it so special to me, just the financial component of it, of just not having to worry about having to pay for it, because I know I couldn't be affording that out of pocket, as well as many other students in my class. So that was the major part of it. And just having the instructor there, that was just the icing on the cake. She was excellent. Excellent.
That's great to hear. Were you going to add something?
I think that's what it is hiring the right instructor, you know, for a class like this that would, you know, that is compassionate, you know, not only about the residents, but also about the students.
Well, thank you both for being here to share your stories and to talk more about the program. We've got the information there for you on the screen. If you are interested, anyone at home watching the show or someone that you know, reach out. The CNA and CMT programs are administered by STL Training, and you can go to stltraining.org or call 314-989-7486. If you're interested in the LPN program, you can go to appliedtech-stl.com or call 314-989-7570 for more information. And again, thank you, Angela, and thank you, Rebekah, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, and thank you at home for joining us, and keep it right here on STL TV. Experience St. Louis.